So, when I graduated from college, my life on paper was pretty fantastic. I had like 6 weeks off between the end of college and the beginning of my first real job, which I had acquired with virtually zero effort on my part. And I was going traveling with my sister in the time off. When I finally did start my job, my boss turned out to be awesome. He was so funny, and he'd send me out every Friday around 3 to go on a beer run. And then we'd all just sit in the office and drink until it was close enough to 5 to call it a day. So I had a great group of friends, and I was living with my best friend, and I had this really very tall and handsome, sweet boyfriend who lived in another state. Being the social butterfly that I am, I was totally fine with this arrangement. If he was in town, I had a blast. But if he wasn't in town, I still had a blast. So, it all sounds pretty fantastic, right? After about 3 months of this, I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I hated my job. My boss, not shockingly, was an alcoholic. I found my friends to just be boring and dull, and I couldn't stand their conversation, and and the thing that irritated me the most was Mark's persistent idea that he was allowed to stay at my apartment whenever he was in town without even asking me. And I was weighed down every day with the knowledge that I was missing out on something better, and the guilt for not appreciating what I had been given. Thankfully, an opportunity came up to go coach lacrosse in England, and I jumped at the chance. Suddenly I'm outside all the time, I got a brand new group of friends, I'm bebopping all over Europe and beyond, and I'm seeing and doing things I had never even imagined before. And the best part is, now there's a whole ocean between me and Mark, which means he has to call and make an appointment to drop in on my life. I was back on top, feeling good. So January rolls around, and Mark calls to make an appointment to drop in on my life. And we agreed on March, which was my Easter break, and I got off the phone with him feeling excited, but like more annoyed and kind of anxious and mostly panicky, because we had never spent any longer than a weekend together. And if it was longer than a weekend, I made sure there were other people around to act as a buffer. So what was I going to do with this guy for an entire week? What would we talk about? What if I wanted to get away from him? What if I couldn't stand him? What if he couldn't stand me? I mean, how the fuck was I going to get out of this? Neither I bought the ticket. So instead of dealing with the problem, I decided to go out with my friend Jane to a party. Now, Jane was by no means my best friend in London, but she's somebody who, blonde hair, green eye, friendly face, quick with a laugh or a joke, you just always have a good time with. So we go to this party, but unfortunately, it's one of those nights where you just cannot get drunk, no matter what you do. So we decided to eat till we couldn't breathe, make fun of a few people, and then cut out early. And we were having a great time, so we go back to Jane's apartment, and we're making playlists, songs to dance to, and we're talking about bands that we like, and blah, blah. And she turns to me suddenly, and she's like, oh my God, you know, he's so good right now. What's that? Some stovetop stuffing. And we are just shitting ourselves laughing about this, and when I came up for air, she leaned in and kissed me. The next thing I know, we are making out, and I am totally fine with that. For the first time ever, my brain is not assaulting me with where's this going? Where's it leading? Is it leading to sex? Does she want sex? Do I want sex? Am I a bad person if I don't want to have sex with her? It was a welcome change from the ticker tape of doubt that constantly buzzed through my head anytime Mark or any guy prior to him would touch me. I felt calm and normal when I was with Jane. I felt like I could breathe again. That first night with Jane, I imagine, must have been like watching Chaz Palminteri's Police Detective realize that he's been duped by Kevin Spacey as he plays back the clues he's been given throughout the day as to the true identity of Verbal Kent. It wasn't that I didn't ever want to be touched or that there was something wrong with me, never to be discussed with anyone. I just didn't want to be touched by a guy. And I felt high on the excitement of finally realizing this and allowing that part of myself that I'd obviously shoved deep down in the back of my brain to come to the surface and give it a chance to exist. But also with that excitement came this anxiety and this fear and a lot of questions and concerns and problems. Problem number one being Mark is still coming to England in March. What the fuck? How the fuck am I going to get out having sex with this guy? Because problem number two is Jane doesn't really want anybody to know about us, which I wasn't that upset about because third problem, I didn't really want to be gay. And, sorry, so I really didn't want to be gay. Much easier to not deal with anything. So I carried on with Jane for the next 2 months, and problem number one presents itself much sooner than I would have liked. Not only is Mark coming to England to see me, we've decided to go to the city of love together, Paris. Oh, Christ, I couldn't even enjoy this city. I'm constantly thinking of reasons why I shouldn't be alone with him, I've got a headache, it's dirty in here, I'm tired. And by the last night that when we're in Paris, these excuses had really worn thin. So I decide that we should go out on a bar crawl because I'm going to get him hammered, and hopefully that'll take care of that. So we do. We go out on a bar crawl. I go out on a bar crawl, and he's totally game for it. Eventually, we get back to the hotel, and he flops down on the bed, and I promise, I'll be right back. And then I take 45 minutes in the bathroom, washing my face, brushing my teeth, and taking out my contact lenses. And when I emerge, he's passed out on the bed. Woo! Dodge that bullet. But I sat down on the bed next to my friend, and I look at him snoring away, and I feel suddenly very sad and alone. And I think, is this the life I want? Yeah, I said I didn't want to be gay, but is this the alternative? Sneaking around and, dodging naked time with my boyfriend or husband because I'm so nervous about having that sort of encounter? On the other hand, do I want to live a life in the shadows with Jane or any woman for that matter? Lying all the time. It's exhausting. Yeah, I just spent the last 20 plus years lying to everyone I knew, including myself. I was exhausted. And as I sat there fretting about what I saw as my only two options for the remainder of my life, this small, often ignored voice in the back of my head spoke up and said, "You could just own it." Explain. Well, you could just, be gay and be happy. You don't have to buzz your head or get a job in construction or get a denim tuxedo or become a card-carrying member of the gay pride parade. You can just be you and be happy. And maybe you like the ladies, whatever. It's not a big deal. But you can't be that person and not talk about it. You can't continue to lie. So you have to tell Mark the truth. And you have to tell your friends the truth. And your family the truth. And really own that. All right. That's what I'm going to do. I am going to tell Mark. And I am going to tell my friends. And I'm going to tell my family. And I'm going to own it. And I went to bed triumphant in the knowledge that I was going to wake up and just tell Mark in the morning. When morning came and Mark reached for me, I rolled away singing, "Come on, we gotta get out of here! We can't miss our train or the breakfast! Come on, let's go!" Apparently, just telling Mark the truth was a lot fucking harder than I thought at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, we're on the train ride back, and Mark turns to me, finally fed up. "What is going on with you?" "What are you talking about?" "I mean, I've been talking to you, I've been making jokes, and you haven't even blinked. What is happening? You've been like this the whole trip." "I'm sorry?" "I'm gay." "Oh. Well, how did that happen?" "I don't know. I guess I must have picked something up in gay Paris." No. I mean, how did you come to that conclusion?" "Oh, right. Well, I met a girl, Jane, and I know I'm in love with her." Now at this point, I'm expecting, you know, how could you do this to me? How could you cheat on me? Did you ever love me? Those sorts of questions that one would expect in that situation. So I was a little unprepared for, well, what's her last name? Gay. Mark, her last name's Gay. That's how I found her, actually. That's how I knew she'd be up for it. All right. Well, where's she from? Lesbianville. Yeah, that's how you find them. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Our banter about the subject and his immediate acceptance at what I had to say really made me feel that much more empowered to go forward and be able to talk about the truth with the people who mattered in my life. And I knew it was going to be difficult, but I also knew I had just taken a very important step in the rest of my life. Thank you.